If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Thais Gibson. I'm so excited that you stopped by. I'm the founder of Gibson Integrated Attachment Theory, which is the only proven method to actually leverage neuroplasticity to truly rewire your attachment style and attachment pattern so that you can become secure. And after 14 years of working both in private practice and in our online group coaching programs with tens of thousands of people, I am here to share with you the most powerful insights for deep inner healing from your childhood and past relationships, so that you can truly live your best life. And before I dive in here, I would love to hear from you. What is the hardest part of this so far? If you watch somebody rebound, if this has ever happened to you, what was the hardest thing and what was the most helpful thing that you did? Let us know in the comments so other people can hear your story and learn from them too. I want to go into these 5 major things, and I think some of these things will really blow your mind and help you see your healing process differently, how you approach relationships differently. So I want to start with number 1 here. And I want you to understand that when somebody hurts you and when they say that they're not willing to show up in a relationship and they don't want to actually be there to invest and make things work, you're less so missing the relationship with somebody who clearly isn't there to support the relationship and make it better, but you're missing a feeling. You're missing a feeling that they brought into your life. And it's because of needs that this person is connected to. So I want to take you just for number 1. We have 5 major things we're going to cover here. We're going to talk about the neuroscience of something that really helps to heal from a breakup. I'm excited to share that with you too. But I want you to sit here and I want you to do this exercise just at a high level in your mind with me. So I want you to think of what feeling you're missing. Was it the feeling of excitement when there was spontaneity in the relationship? Was it the feeling of security when you felt like you were in a committed relationship with somebody? Was it the feeling of warmth that you experienced when you felt loved? Was it the feeling of significance when you felt important? And I want you to think of what is it that I'm really missing with this person? And most importantly, what needs is this connected to? Because what really happens when somebody can't show up for us in a relationship, they don't want to be there. And if you're really honest with yourself, if the relationship got to a breaking point, I'm sure there's probably a lot of history in the relationship of you feeling like you were chasing or hoping or wishing and waiting and something wasn't coming through. And so in all reality, there were probably a lot of hard moments in this relationship if it was your ex. But there's part of you that's still holding on subconsciously and psychologically to this fantasy or this idea of how it could get back on track or those good moments that you did have. And I want you to really think about those good moments for a moment and what needs are they connected to. And what you're going to see here is that there are specific needs that you are starving for. And whenever we are starving, we are willing to accept breadcrumbs from somebody else. So if you're starving, you're going to be sitting there going, I'm hungering for this. I really want this connection with this person. But maybe they were only showing up a 3 out of 10 for validating you or making you feel wanted or important or cared for. Maybe they were only giving you breadcrumbs, but maybe you struggle to make yourself feel wanted and important, to be validating to yourself. Maybe you're so self-critical all the time. And so usually the feeling that we're missing from somebody that makes us chase or go back to them over and over again and ruminate in our mind, it's actually a lot deeper than that. It's about needs that this person was meeting, even if inconsistently, that we're deep down starving for. And until we learn to meet these needs in our own lives, then we're going to stay stuck. I just wanted to jump in here really quick and let you know it is Cyber Monday. And as a result, we have a free giveaway that we're sharing with you. And this is that if you come in and you check out the 7-day all access pass to the personal development school, you will get to keep for life, for free, the Somatic Processing and Nervous System Regulation course. It is all about healing your attachment style through one of our 6 major pillars of healing your attachment style and becoming secure, which is self-soothing, regulating your nervous system, and being able to somatically process your emotions. We talk about everything from polyvagal theory to understanding the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. There's really powerful practices for self-soothing and self-regulation that are simple and easy to try, and you will literally get to keep this for life. We're just doing it because it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday time. And as a result, we will be closing the doors on this at the end of the promotion. So join now while you can, and I hope you enjoy. Point number 2, and this is really going to help you after you start meeting some of these needs. So just as an example, if you are going to start validating more, you might write down 3 wins that you had every day, 3 things you're proud of. So you're actually trying to acknowledge yourself, validate yourself. If you want to make yourself feel wanted and important, practice getting to know yourself, asking yourself deep introspective questions, getting to know yourself more in your inner world. Spend a little bit of time with yourself. Have a half-hour evening routine before bed where you journal, you get to know yourself. You think more deeply about some of the things about your future, your life, life, your goals, your dreams, the things that make you happy. Because as you're doing this, you are taking the reliance off of this person who wasn't showing up for you anyways and who's now rebounded, and you're putting the effort back into yourself. And this is going to help you so much. Point number 2, I want you to practice raising your personal value. Okay, what does this mean? This is not about value from the outside world. What I mean here is that if you're seeing your ex rebound, we always, as human beings, feel envy when somebody is in a position where they're expressing something that we feel like is lost or suppressed within us. So let me tell you an example. Years and years ago, I had this client and she came to me one day and she said, Thais, I'm having this weird experience. There was this woman and she was painting at this fair outside. She was sharing her paintings on the sidewalk and she was selling them. And she's like, I couldn't stop thinking about this woman all week. Like I thought about it all day. And the feeling I'm feeling is like envy of this woman. Now, my client who was saying this, she at the time had literally the most busy, intense corporate job you can imagine. She was like a director at a major company. She was so busy all the time. She had so much responsibility. I'd only seen her for like 4 or 5 sessions. And I asked her, I said, hey, well, in your past, in your childhood, did you ever want to be a painter? And she was like, yeah. She's like, I've never shared this with you, but actually my whole childhood, I thought I wanted to be an artist. So what happens is envy is actually signifying to us things that we feel like are repressed. And when I asked her, by the way, my client, I said, well, are you still painting? And she said, no, I never have time for painting. So envy is like letting us know our missing pieces. And so when you're sitting here and you're looking at your ex who's rebounded and who's dating somebody else and you're feeling envy or you're ruminating about it, I want you to ask yourself, what am I ruminating the most about? What am I thinking that they're doing? And how do I actually start investing in these things in my own life so that it's not dependent on this person? So if you're like, oh, I think they're having fun together, instead of feeling envy, like, oh, they're having fun together without me, go create habits in your life that are going to have more, where you're going to have more fun. If you're feeling like you're like, oh, they're probably being vulnerable and opening up together, go have more vulnerable conversations with your friends and family. Journal. So you're having these meaningful and vulnerable conversations with yourself. If you're thinking, oh, they probably are traveling together, good, plan a trip. Instead of displacing this emotion, thinking that only your ex can give this to you, and if only your ex wasn't with this new person, you'd be fine. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. It's a trap and it doesn't actually help you. Okay. So this is really important. Now, point number 3. And this is a really fun neuroscience one. There was a study done by a woman named Michelle Sanchez in 2018. And she actually tested different cognitive strategies in people who were distressed after a breakup. And she found that something really powerful helped. One of the top strategies that helped was something called negative reappraisal. Okay. And what this is it's about thinking about our ex's downsides. This is what I like to call an emergency strategy inside of our programs at PDS. I'm always like, only do this if you really can't get over your ex, if you're feeling really stuck. And it's a strategy where you actually sit down and you think about, wait, how did this person actually make me feel? Was I actually happy? What were the struggles like? What were the traits where I didn't feel this person was showing up? How did that make me feel in my body? What about all the times where I felt like I was chasing or trying so hard or carrying the weight of the relationship on my own? How did that actually feel? Because part of why we ruminate and we think about an ex is because we're actually seeing too many of their upsides and we're not seeing the holistic picture. Because in reality, truthfully, if a relationship wasn't working, it would actually tell us very clearly that there were more downsides of that relationship than upsides. And one of those downsides could be, even if you wanted to be in that relationship, the person wasn't ready to be with you. But at this point, if you're seeing this, then you're going to feel really stuck here. Okay. So what I want you to be able to do is actually look at what are some of the downsides of trying to get back with this person, be with this person again. What were the downsides of even being in that relationship? What were the parts that were hard? How did it make me feel? And when you really start to map those things out, and if you can come up with like 8, 9, 10 of them, you're going to start to feel relief. And then I want you to refocus on those things when you are revisiting them in your mind again. Number 4 is our boundary work. Okay. This is so important. You need to have actual boundaries with yourself. You want to be in a position where you can actually say, like, I am not going to look at their social media. I am not going to look at what's happening in their life. I'm not going to look at old pictures on my phone. Like, you want to decide the things that are derailing your healing and your progress. And you want to be like, no, I'm putting boundaries around them. And you want to really do your best to stick to them. I find that when we don't actually have intentional boundaries, we're just kind of on autopilot. And then all of these nasty habits will creep in where they just hurt you. They harm you. You look at your ex's pictures late at night. And like, I promise you, if you're doing this kind of stuff, or if you're stalking their new girlfriend or boyfriend's social media, their partner's social media, Like if you're in this position where you're doing that, you are literally attacking yourself. You're attacking your healing, your journey. It's extremely painful. And you want to be like, no, 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 do it, make a list, audit my boundaries and put them up. Okay. And you want to stick to them. Now I have one last really important piece. This is one of my favorites. The work of Dr. Stephen Porges talks a lot about how somatic processes can really increase our ventral vagal tone, which is something that essentially makes it easier to return to regulation. It makes it easier for us to self-soothe, to regulate our emotions. And we really want to do somatic exercises generally in a titrated way. There's an old saying, if you want to heal, you have to feel, right? There is a truth to that. There is an element of you have to actually be able to notice the emotion that's taking place in your body. And a really great thing to do here is to practice these windows of time where you're going to work to go through these completion cycles. So ideally, you want to sit and actually allow yourself to feel your emotions. If you're feeling grief, when you can actually sit with that emotion of grief and notice what it feels like in your body and describe the sensation. So grief feels like heaviness in my chest and torso, and an emptiness in my stomach, and a heaviness on my shoulder blades. As you can sit there and actually notice the sensations and witness them and really sit and process them, it really allows you to start moving through some of the emotions that are stored. And then you can actually move into this completion cycle by doing things like gently shaking your limbs for 60 seconds to 2 minutes and doing things that are actually allowing your body to essentially finish regulating the survival response, especially around emotions like stress or anxiety or rumination that you may be feeling. This is such a big topic. That's why that course is really going to dive in there. If you want to go deeper into it, that is a gift you get to keep for life. But what I'll just say here at a high level is that as you really dive in and you start titrating these moments of feeling your emotions, noticing the sensations, just describing the sensations in your body, you'll start to notice that emotions are just sensations in the body. That's all they are. They can't harm you. They are just things to feel and notice. And then when you want to come out of this discomfort, doing something like moving around, shaking your limbs for a minute or 2 minutes, pressing your palms together, doing these things that allow your body to really finish acting out the survival response can be very helpful. Again, I really want to say that you want to titrate those emotions. You want to do them in 60 seconds of actually feeling, noticing, and witnessing the sensations in your body, and then moving into the completion cycle. And the more you can do that over time, the more you're actually processing out some of those painful emotions as well. And that will help so much with the grief process. So I hope this was super helpful for you. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to this channel. Join me here where I share daily videos that are all mini masterclasses to help you in these different areas of your life. And I'll see you next time.